Okay, it's Sunday, June 14th, and I have the low tunnels down, so I figured I'd make a quick walkthrough. It's basically vegetables on one side and fruit on the other. But in the front, we have three kinds of onions. The onions need to be thinned out a little bit. Those are full size. Oh no, those are deep purple, and then the green onions aren't doing all that well. And at the end here are some talon. And then these are radishes. They need to be thinned out. There's this variety up front, and then a second and a third variety, but I gotta get down and look at them right now. And then there's some weedy spinach. This section needs a little bit of weeding, but you can see some spinach coming up. Spinach hasn't been doing very well for me. In the middle there's some pumpkins. I just planted them today. Jack-o'-lanterns, and three jack-o'-lantern, three pie pumpkins. In this row there's three things. There's broccoli. Some I just planted. Some's been coming up for a while. I try to stagger the plantings. And then this stuff with the light purple leaves, that's cabbage. There's a broccoli plant in there I threw in there, but those are about 7 cabbages. And then these are Brussels sprouts. On this side there's these are artichokes, 8 of 2 different kinds I think we have here, and then some more broccoli. These broccolis are the first ones I planted. I think I started them in early March inside. There's the pumpkins. Over here we've got some 5 different varieties of zucchini and squash. And here you can see there's a lot of zucchini down there. There's on there. The zucchinis are starting to come in. There's like 3 kinds of green, or 2 kinds of green, 2 kinds of yellow, and some summer squash. And you can see some of the yellows coming in here. There's a big one back there. Some little ones. The bees are working on the flowers. So here we have, on this row, these are beans. We've already done one bean harvest. Again, these are staggered over time. More beans are starting to come in. There's a field of beans over on the other side of the yard. We'll take a look at next. And then this is where my next bean planting goes. That's an eggplant. It's kind of weird. It was just one we had and I threw it in there. Over here is a bunch of different kinds of greens. Well, first there's carrots. These carrots are just starting to come up. But these carrots, the long ones, I started those in the basement. That's Swiss chard and some bok choy and some kale and some mustard greens. I forget what that is. Collard greens probably. Different kinds of lettuce. There's some red romaine. Got some watercress there and little thin things. And this is just some regular lettuce. It's like we grow in the hydroponic garden, but I was going to grow some out here mainly for the chickens. This section's empty right here, but this is sweet potatoes. There's 4 sweet potato plants and just 3 token corn. So I don't really eat corn, but there's another cornfield over there. These are peas. They're just starting to get some pods. You can see down here some pea pods. The problem with the peas is that I planted the peas and then I put the trellis up. I should have put the trellis up. I think I'm going to do 2 rows of peas and 2 trellises next time. These are peppers. There's 3 kinds of peppers. The first batch here, these are called yellow snack peppers. they're green right now. And then down here, these are some regular green bell peppers down here. They're just starting to come in. And then these are the red bell peppers. There's some down there that are turning red. And then there's tomatoes. These are 3 kinds of tomatoes. We're starting to get some down here. And, at the end here, I know where the cherry ones. Oh, they're getting pretty big for cherry tomatoes. Over here, these first 5 bushes, these are blackberries. I put a bird net up. Mary helped me do that the other day. You can see all the little blackberries coming in. And these are goji berries. Really no sign of anything coming in there quite yet. There's some blueberries down here, but they're not really. They have some flowers, but I don't see any kind of berries. This back row is grapes. There's green grapes and red grapes. Five vines each, but they're not really grown yet. These blackberries and the goji berries I got from South Carolina, whereas all these other berry plants I got from the Tractor Supply. These are some boysenberries. Well, this is a boysenberry. It's got some sort of bug problem. These are raspberries on the backside of the blackberries. This is the dragon orange. Don't really see any oranges on it yet. There's the other grapes. So the back row, that row is mostly cucumbers. And then the center sections where the vines are, that's all watermelon. And there's 3 varieties of watermelon, and then the ones in the center, like this one and this one, and the one in between the trees there, those are called pollinator watermelons, and they're supposed to keep the other watermelons from having seeds, so we'll see how that goes. Back here on the cucumber row, you can see, we're starting to get some pretty good sized cucumbers. There's 2 varieties. There's called pickling cucumbers, and there's slicing cucumbers. These 2 trees are cherry trees. The one in the front is a Montmorency cherry. I don't see any fruit on it yet. This one here, it's from South Carolina. It's a dwarf Bing cherry. It doesn't really have any. This one is a superior plum tree. I don't really see any. There's a beetle. I need to catch those beetles and put them in a jar and take them to the chickens. This plum tree's got 4 grafts on it. It's a Stanley prune plum, Santa Rosa plum, a blue damson plum, and a burr bark C4-in-1. And it seems to have 4 different kinds of trees growing. None of them seem to have any fruit on them yet. This is a apricot. This is the only one of the apricot trees that's really surviving. Without having the others, I'm probably not going to get any fruit. This is a semi-dwarf apricot, but it just started growing off the bottom instead of the top. This one had leaves and then they just died off. Semi-dwarf Wenatchee. I'm probably gonna have to replace that one. And then these are the apple trees. Fuji apple, and back here is Honeycrisp apple. I don't see any. It's growing good though. And then back here is Red Delicious. This is a system I use for watering. Everything's got a dripper. The trees have drippers that are 24 inches deep and on top, and every plant in the garden basically, except for the rows of greens and onions and radishes, those have sprayers, but everything else is all drip irrigation. This system here injects, filters out any dirt from the rainwater and injects any fertilizer and controller and the solar controller and the inverter, and those meters show how much fertilizer is in the water. So that's the garden. June 14th.